Session 5, Scum Villainy. The crew of the Cerberus, the three heads, had a dalliance in the void of space last time with fairly good results, working for the Night Speakers, retrieving a way artifact for them called the Aleph Key. And it was determined that we would like to pursue further work on behalf of the Night Speakers. And that is exactly what we are going to launch into in this session. So we've previously, and I will give you some pictures now on Roll20, so you can look there. So previously we've, we haven't really met Doram, the Night Speaker leader, but he's a figure that there exists footage of, so you will have seen him. So that's him in a sort of bodysuit and the mask, because all the Night Speakers wear masks. And
It's the best reason for joining them, man. They all look like badasses.
yeah. They have the style. They've invested most of their points in style. And today we will be working on a thing presented to us by Ismissa, the Night Speaker. She is something like this. So I think we'll cut straight to it. We are in, I believe, the halt system. I will check that. Halt. Yep. So we are in the halt system and on the planet Sondara. Sonhandra, rather. I'll put that in chat. Sonhandra. It is a planet that is tidally locked to the star it orbits. So one of the sides is constantly being blasted by the scorching heat of the star, and the other never is. So it's a permanent night side, permanent day side kind of situation. Both of these fairly inhospitable climates. So most of the settlements on Sonhandra exists in the twilight zone, in sort of a band around the planet. And let's see, this is, I think, probably a place that you know fairly well. Probably maybe due to your backgrounds, especially in the part of Viper, I think, and maybe Zenith as well. But most of you know it in a professional capacity as well, because Sonhandra is somewhat known for its lax policies regarding trade. So it is a choice destination for smugglers and fences alike, which is a nice way of saying that there's a lot of crime around this planet. A lot of criminal outfits use it for different kinds of purposes, and you are aware that you can pretty much get anything on Sonhandra if you make an effort to try and find the correct people.
Sounds like the sort of place a couple of reckless mofos like me and Viper might frequent.
Yep. It's a good place to get into business of different kinds and different varieties of danger. So we smash got into Sanhandra. There's a broad paved street. There's a wind howling. The tidally locked condition of the planet causes some fairly extreme weather phenomenon where the winds blowing from one side to the other tend to be very strong. So you are stood in the street, your clothes being flapped in the strong wind blowing from the day side, so it's sweltering heat at the minute. It will eventually calm down, but for the moment, it's like having a massive hair dryer blasting on your side the whole time. and it kicks up some dust, and you have just been talking to Ismissa, the night speaker, the first one you've met in person that you know of. She's stood there as well, her white clothing similarly tossed by the strong gale, and her impassive mask is sort of inclined a bit as she is waiting for your comments. You have been given a data slate, which you've been browsing with the details of what Ismissa and the night speakers by extension would ask of you. There are several categories of detail on the device. You are being asked by Ismissa, in her function apparently as somewhat of an expert on these matters, to attend to a very somber matter. A night speaker master has died, and you are being asked to perform the proper burial rites in this case. And you do make note of the fact that died is in quotes in the data slate. Oh, we are apparently lost Viper for a bit there. Viper, do you copy?
I'm back, guys. I'm back. Technical issues.
Stay the course.
A little further.
Yeah. So, how much did you get?
We were given a mission from the Night Stalker dude, or dudette.
Yeah.
It's Missa.
Yeah, it's Missa. Yeah.
The night speaker, but I wasn't. I was just starting to hear what that mission was, and then
then it cut to black.
Faded to black.
Yeah, and then you wake up in an alley without your clothes. No, that's a different story. So
that's a story for another day.
Yeah,
that's that reporter in the vampire game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, crossover episode. Whoa, space vampires. No, so Ismissa, the night speaker, has given you a data device to study with some details on what she's asking of you. The matter is grave, in that one of the night speaker masters has died, apparently, and the died is in quotes in the brief. And you are being asked to perform the proper burial rites for this individual, who is called Kadat. I'll put it in chat. So apparently Kadat has passed on, and she needs you to take her spirit, which has been confined to a phylactery urn. You don't really know what that is, but your best guess is it's a relic artifact of some kind, because it sounds like it. If you put a person into a thing, that the precursors might be involved. So
Viper's understanding we're doing a delivery.
Yeah. So there's a phylactery urn that Ismissa is, now you realize what it is. She is carrying the urn in her arm. And there's a brief sort of summary of the realities of this. So apparently the Night Speaker Masters do not pass on as such when they die. They remain in the world as extremely volatile way entities, is the way that it's described in the brief. There's not a lot of technical or mystical detail in it, because they don't exactly know how capable of understanding you would be of that kind of thing.
So we're all experienced D&D players. It's basically a Horcrux. We get it.
So can Zenith lowball it for me? So is it like a ghost, Zenith?
No, nothing as crude. What they're saying is that every person who exists leaves an imprint on the way. The force that surrounds us, moves through us, and controls, and is controlled in turn by the universe. we all leave an imprint on this force. Those who are particularly strong at manipulating this force consciously may remain behind as an imprint of what they once were in the way. But
like an echo.
Indeed, in the same way as if you step on a beach, you might leave a footprint in the sand. But in the same way as,
that, surely.
Although the foot caused the footprint, it does not look the same. The imprint on the way of a person may not be the same as the person themselves.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand this spiritual malarkey. If we all have souls, that's an interesting concept, but not all of us are born that way. From what I can tell, but he does to transport it because it's a box. Where's the danger? I mean, I can fly. I can fly through a black hole, no problem. I can skim the ocean surface. You tell me when and how.
The way is not a physical force in the same way as what you're describing. It is a spiritual counterpart to the material of Viper. I am more than sure that you are amply qualified to deal with anything worldly that may come at us on this mission. However, the way is equal parts, is as much of the soul as it is of the actual world, and those who are not prepared for it can find themselves in grave peril.
So this is actually a dangerous assignment? Is that what you try to tell me?
It could be. As I've said, the imprints that a person leaves on the way do not always fully resemble that person. There are numerous factors on how the person died, how strong they were in their use of the way. It is unpredictable, and anything unpredictable carries an element of danger, particularly to those who are unprepared for it.
This requires an armed guard.
As far as I'm concerned, we're transporting important remains. We should just do so with the respect required. It's not a particularly
absolutely.
difficult mission, aside from the fact that the person who's dead may or may not be important to other people. So we should probably be a bit discreet about it.
I agree.
Simon, I was just curious as to why they would hire such experts like us for such a seemingly benign mission.
Since we've performed a mission and succeeded for them, it may simply be a test to see whether we pay appropriate respect, to see whether we are worthy of future employ by the Night Speakers. However, transporting one of their own who was greatly respected from the sound of the mission brief is a task in which a great deal of trust has been placed in us, and we should strive to prove worthy of that trust.
This is partially true. The very low bass tinged voice of what's her face, Ismissa, reaches you. There's a Zenith, you can pick it up immediately because you are a mystic yourself. There is a sort of almost a tangible quality of the voice that you hear, in that it is heavily inlaid with the way. It's like she's not doing anything, she's not using a technique, but her very voice is sort of amplified by the ambient fact that she's infused with the way.
Yeah, obviously I'll be sort of paying all deference to her because, like you say, I can sense how in touch with the way she is. Just like you say, even in how she speaks, it's fairly like the force is flowing off her, the force of the way. Mm-hmm. So I'll be sort of paying all due deference, and like the instant she starts speaking, I'll fall quiet and listen to what she has to say.
The brief, you will find, continues with several pertinent details. And I think you will find this, depending on your approach, good pilot. She's looking at Viper. To be of interest and perhaps even excitement, even though for the rest of us it might be a solemn affair. And indeed, you can see in the device, the reading device, that there's more text and instructions. So, and Ismissa speaks as you scroll through the thing. She says again, like low bass vibrations accompany her voice. Tradition is that our masters are confined to these urns and then laid to rest in an ancient mortuary temple on this planet.
As soon as she says that
This-
ancient temple, I'll be like, mm.
Our history stretches back quite far, and things aren't as they used to in the heyday of our order on this planet. This will become apparent to you, I think, as you follow the steps. The temple itself is located deep in the night side. And what I would ask of you is you follow the route of the 4 columns of repose, and should you do so successfully, the way to the temple in the night side shall be safer. If excitement finds you, and she's again looking straight at Viper, and should you falter somewhere along the way of the 4 columns, I urge you not to turn back, for the way shall still be open to you. And there's some clever wordplay there from her. The way shall still be open to you. However, it will not be as safe. You would not be the first to encounter danger on this path. You ask yourselves, why do I not do this myself? Why does not one of my acolytes do this? She has a bit of a pause. Are forbidden from entering the temple ourselves. It is only for our dead. We rely on those such as yourselves who have earned our trust to carry our dead there. And from what Speaker Durham has told me, you have very much earned that trust in full. And I hope that your path shall be safe. Should you choose to accept this burden. If not, I shall have to find someone else. And she inclines her masked head and sort of opens her arms and inclines her head, looks at the ground, waiting for your comments or whatever.
I wouldn't even bother asking. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with way artifacts. There's a giant way temple. There's dangers involved.
No problem.
So I'm just yep, we accept.
Viper, you haven't said anything. So as Mushishi and Zenith have said something, you hear in your mind a whisper, which sort of fades in and out quite quickly, which is just, "What about you, pilot?"
I'm down for a little delivery run. No problem. Happy. the Night Stalkers. I say it with a kind of a slight sarcastic tinge to my tone, obviously in my head.
Mm-hmm. So you think it sarcastically?
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll wait for John to get back, and then we'll.
I just imagine like a flashback scene where Zenith's like telling me, they're going to give us some sweet missions. We're going to get to do some really exciting stuff, like flying deep space, like
space fights.
yeah, like all the way like battle station.
No, it sounds like you've got to do some fucking ancient traditional shuttle run. That should be quite cool.
Yeah, and then it's like delivered
down along some columns.
Spot.
Trust in the wave, either.
Yeah.
Trust in the wave.
I'm wondering if they're going to be like racing pod-sized weaving poles.
So as Viper gives his assent to this task mentally and sarcastically, Ismissa like stands up straight and holds the urn in both hands. It's about that big urn. There's a seal on top, a very visible place where it's been sealed. So there's no actual like cap on top. It's a very sophisticated looking wax seal. You know it's not wax, but it looks like something of the kind. So yeah, she hands the urn to Zenith.
I will treat it with all the due deference that I would give to a living master of the Night Speaker. So I'll be quite gentle with it. As I'm carrying something that's a cross between something extremely precious and like a thermal detonator.
Yeah,
is how I'll be sort of carrying it.
Yep. Good. She inclines her head and says, "The speakers, thank you. I shall be there when you return." And she...
Thank you for trusting us with this task.
She nods, and she heads off without another word, disappearing into the streets of Sanhandra. And it's not difficult to do. There's a lot of folks around here. A lot of trading goes down, so people come here to sell and buy everything. They're illicit goods. They come here to fence them. You have vendors lining almost every street trying to sell you some space junk or nefarious goods. And there's a whole bunch of hangars with auctions going on, basically, for everything, really. You know that if you looked hard enough, you would probably find something that passes for slavery, which maybe, I think, judging from the spirit of the crew of the Cerberus that we've seen so far, probably leaves a bad taste in your mouth, just thinking about the fact that somewhere there's a warehouse where people, sentients, are being sold. But you can see that there's a hangar there. Someone's trying to sell like a shuttle or a fighter. And yeah, a lot of basically business trading going on. It's a vibrant place with a lot of people. And you're in the street. The hot gale from the day side is starting to die down. And in your data device, there is the route that Ismissa was talking about. It has the sort of header called the 4 columns of repose. So the idea is, as it's laid out to you in more words than I will use now, the instructions are you need to follow the steps of these columns in order, and then the way should be safe for you to enter the temple in the night side. The first column, and you have all the locations on these, so you don't need to find any of these. They are all marked out, and there's instructions for each. And the first column, and please let me know if you just want me to read out the whole thing now, but the first column that they've pointed out is called the column of endurance, and you have the coordinates. And with a quick look at the local map, because it's freely available, it is next to, or like looks to be next to, what's called the Three Suns. And you've been here for a while on multiple occasions. The Three Suns are it's a local gambling joint where Zenith and Viper probably been playing some Bazak. And it is also the biggest dive bar. So while it is a gambling joint, it is nothing like the fancy casino that we went into on Aleph.
We have to take the package here.
There are instructions that the column should be found
This
in
is
coordinates.
where we start.
Yeah.
Or this
right.
is
So
where
we don't go straight to the tomb. We go
No,
like a pilgrimage.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah.
Viper. This is a, as with many things in the way, it is as much about the journey as reaching the destination.
Right. Okay.
Yep. So the first step looks to be next to the Three Suns, which you know well because you've been there. You've been drinking, gambling, and it's a rough place, and it's run by this ex-legionnaire Viper. You probably know him,
No.
Osho. He's
Love that guy.
He's a tough customer. He's
nice name.
He's got bouncers, but he doesn't shy away from doing it himself as well. So he's been known to crack skulls in there when people get rowdy or don't listen to his rules. So he's a fairly tough customer from what you know. He doesn't take shit. And
wait, Zenith, wait a second, right? Is this a job or an audition?
I'm not sure I follow you, Viper.
Are they sending you to these very dangerous places to see if you survive, and then it's going to be like, welcome to the Night Stalkers? I mean, why would we find a way column in a dive bar? That place is trash, man. Have you ever been there?
Yes, of course I've been there. I've been there with you.
Yeah, but you know what I mean?
It is odd that you haven't sensed it there before.
It is. That's a true point from Mushishi, and it kind of perplexes you, Zenith.
Indeed, however, the way reveals itself gradually like a flowering plant. You do not see the whole thing at once. It is like a many-faceted jewel that reveals itself differently depending on where the light is shining.
People kill each other for jewels. Mushishi, I think there's something like off about this mission. Like, it seems like it's a religious rite, but we're going to a very dangerous place. I bet the next place we got to go is like some kind of inner side of a sun or something like that.
Viper.
Zenith, would it be considered disrespectful for us to look at the other 4 points along this journey?
Well, we've been given
setting out.
Well, we have been given
the map.
We've been given the data by the night speaker, so I assume they would take no offence to us reading it.
So first step, casino. Second step.
Second call. There's instructions, by the way, Zenith. So when you get to the column of endurance, you're supposed to bring the urn, and this is a quote from the instructions, bring the urn and let the spirit within witness your feats of endurance and stamina. And there's a way in the
sounds
writing.
Like we're wrestling for money. Well, it sounds like one of you guys is wrestling for money.
Second column is called the column of silence, and you coordinate it on your map, and you see that it's somewhere in a busy, and this city that you're in, by the way, is the biggest city on the planet, and is basically where the only sort of legit big spaceport is, and the city is called Ugar. I'll put it in chat. Ugar. So you're in Ugar, and the map shows that this is the column of silence is in a very busy market square. It's one of those affairs of basically like an open air bazaar where you have a lot of tents, you have stalls of folks selling stuff in the street. The market square rather. So the column of silence is there, and the instructions which, by the way, are written in a fairly like florid, old type of expressing stuff, rather more poetic than you would these days write these things. So the instructions for the column of silence is: bring the urn, touch the seal to the column, and invoke the chant of silence within your mind, letting it harmonize with the column. The urn must rest at the column for an hour of silence. And there's the mantra, and it is a mantra, so it's words which you don't necessarily know if there's any meaning to, but it's a mantra that you're given in as a instructional, and yeah. So that is the second column. Third column is the column of synchronicity, and you look it up a couple of times on the map, and it looks like it's in the parking lot of a fast food joint called the Flaming Hot Burgers. And the instruction is: situate the urn nearby and wait until the seal shimmers. Then touch the column, reach within, and give something of yourself to the deceased and those present. Fourth column, which goes way away from Ugar. It's in the night side, quote unquote, wastelands, because they don't get light at all there. So the fauna is very specialized if it exists. Same with the flora. It's a kind of a permanently dark expanse of not much. The column there is called the column of the passage, and the instruction reads: situate the urn at the base of the column and light the smoke of the passage. Breathe deep of the scent of the night. Meditate and open your inward eye. If you have completed the previous rites honoring the spirit of the urn, the smoke will show you a passage to the temple in the darkness. So yeah, you know where all these places are. You know the instructions, those sparse they might be. Some of them are more specific, like you just heard. The column of the passage, very specific what you need to do. Column of endurance, not so much.
I have several ideas for that, none of which I think the other crew people are going to like.
Yep. So you've read the instructions. You know where to go, if not necessarily what to do, depending on your ideas for these things. But yeah, what?
This is a pretty rough place. Is there any harm in us taking a heavy load?
I wouldn't say there's any. No one's going to care.
I was going to suggest we take a heavy load because, like, we're on some like precious transport mission. We want to go like balling with all our equipment.
I think also our armor would look quite smart on us.
I like the way machine.
You know, that would be quite respectful to the dead.
To the ghosts.
Jedi guy.
That it. You know much more about the way than I do. No disrespect, you know, you're your own, but just to be clear, we're not being used as sacrifices here, right? This isn't some ritual where we are literally giving our lives for this pilgrimage, because I got things I want to do, man.
I do not still yourself, Viper. I do not believe so, since the aim of this mission is to get the urn to the temple. Obviously, if we were to die along the way, we would not be able to accomplish that.
I'm pretty sure one of those things it mentions about giving something to the dead.
Indeed, there are many possible interpretations of that.
Just a little concerned, you know, if the Night Stalkers themselves don't go on these missions because they're not allowed to, is that because this is like a very dangerous and potentially like soul-wrenching quest that they're putting us on? And
well, I believe that the goal of this quest is to, as you said earlier, it is like a pilgrimage. The aim is to purify oneself through these 4 columns, each representing a different aspect of the way which is important to the Night Speakers and to their honoured dead. The idea is that we walk this path, we purify ourselves, and if we are sufficiently in tune with the way and are sufficiently purified, the temple is revealed to us, and we have the honour of placing their deceased master in their final resting place.
Nope. I think
for a second there.
Yeah. There's some internet connection difficulties.
So are me and Mushishi having to be indoctrinized into this cult? I mean, sorry, this belief system for this mission?
I do not believe so. As I've said, the way moves through all things that live anyway. Whereas I may be able to wield it consciously, it moves through the two of you as it moves through me. You may not perceive
really sure it does. I mean, I'm not really. I didn't start like you guys. I had a very different gestation.
Trust me, Viper. It does. Have you never been performing a particularly difficult maneuver when you were piloting, and everything has seemed to come together just right, and you have almost felt that you could not fail to succeed in your actions?
Yeah, that's because I'm brilliant. That's through training and the Legion's excellent educational program.
Indeed, but in that moment when things seem at their most right and your mind is at peace, that is because in some way, albeit in an unconscious way, you have touched the way, the force that moves between us all. You may not know it, but that does not mean it is not there.
It's almost like taking away from my hard work, though, for my own skill, that something else is helping me out when I need it most. Why isn't it just me just being really good?
How's about we look at it this way? We're taking a dead body for our friend, who's the dead body of someone from his club. We're going to be respectful to the traditions of the club, but we don't have to join the club. One of the traditions of the club is proving your endurance.
I got endurance for weeks.
I know you have. I haven't got much more endurance for this argument, though. So how's about we agree we're going to go and do it, and we head off to the first place?
I wasn't arguing. I was just. I felt I should point a few things out.
Let's see if we can find a trial of endurance.
Yes. You're seeking for knowledge, does you credit, Viper? However, I think in this case, Mushishi is correct. We should begin our journey.
I promise to don't join any more clubs for at least a couple more years. I'm on a hiatus. I'm all clubbed up.
Very well.
So with those words, we smash cut to the club, and rather you're in front of the 3 suns, and it looks just as shitty as the last time you guys were here, getting scammed and drunk. It is full of rough types, so to speak. Some of them are outside, kicking the repulsors of their hover bikes, having some illicit smokes, and a good time outside. There's because you have the coordinates now, you can tell, Zenith, Viper, you hadn't really noticed it before, because it doesn't really stand out that much, but one of the corners of the building where the 3 suns is located is a stone column. It is made from stone, and the coordinates point right to it. So there is a bare, no decorations, ancient-looking stone column that's been incorporated into one of the corners of this dive bar.
I'm almost disappointed that it's just a stone column. You know, I kind of hoping for like it was going to be ethereal.
Yes, like there's a mithril gateway here.
You don't like Lord of the Rings, where it has the shiny door from the
Yeah.
script.
Yeah, no, it's a And yeah, that's
only just spotted it. It's not had a chance to do anything like wibbly yet. Give it a minute.
Well, very well. As we're approaching the bar, I'll say to Mashishi and Viper, my plan, since we have to let it witness a feat of endurance or stamina, my plan is to leave most of my money on the ship, save for a cred stick totaling an amount of whatever the equivalent of 1 cred is. My plan is to walk into the bar, hand you the urn, Viper, and get you to stand, or Mashishi, and get you to stand somewhere near me. I then plan to hold up the cred stick and say that I have a cred stick for anyone who can best me in unarmed combat. I will no doubt then proceed to be beaten severely, at which point, after they win and take the cred stick, it is my hope that Mashishi will be able to drag me out. The urn will have witnessed what it needs to see, and we can move on to the second column.
Mashishi, do you think we need a better plan than watching Zenith get beat to a pulp? I mean, it seems like a very flagellating kind of idea. I mean, surely the way has different interpretations of endurance.
I would, in fact, suggest perhaps something a little more sportsmanly.
Cards?
Whereby the two of you spar, because we know you're fairly evenly matched. The trial here is not to beat the crap out of each other. It's to keep the fight going for over an hour. Indeed, we'll put a cred stick up for anyone that wants to vote against, to bet. We'll put a couple of cred sticks up.
The challenge is not to make money off betting on a fight. The challenge is to endure.
I was about to say that anything we made off that, we could donate to your cause for your club.
It's open to interpretation, though.
Um,
Do I have time to play some cards? Because
however, the two of you beating the crap out of, well, the two of you performing like fighting each other for an hour seems more of an act of endurance to me than you standing for 5 minutes while someone kicks the crap out of you. I'm happy to pick you all up either way.
Well, the feat of endurance would be to remain standing as long as possible whilst, as you said, having the crap beaten out of me.
Fair.
Why don't you just arm wrestle the bar? Like, have a happy hour where they can take you, they can take the money.
I'm not sure that on this grand spiritual quest, arm wrestling is a sufficient feat of endurance.
Maybe it should be if the alternative is getting like the crap kicked out of you.
Well, as I've said, these sort of journeys are never easy. They are supposed to be taxing, as you can see from the instructions we have.
Is there anything else on this stump apart from a bear as well, Yanis? Is it just like...
It's not a bear, it's a bare stone column, so there's no decoration. There's not actually a bear on it.
It's not a space bear. Good call, though.
I wondered why Viper's eyes lit up when you said it was a bear column.
Yeah, I thought because endurance big bit of. Right.
No, you're good. You're good. It might have been a bear, but it wasn't.
Right, so I think at this point, since no better suggestions have been offered, I'm recklessly going to just grab my crowd stick.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna give Viper the urn, and I'll say stand nearby so the urn can witness either my success or my failure.
Right, do I have to shake it or
No, do not shake it.
Talk to it, maybe.
No. Just hold it so that it can witness what is to occur.
And I think at this point we're going to roll our engagement roll. So I think your plan is assault.
Well, I don't know if it's really assault. Cause my plan is to basically go in and go who wants this money to try and best me in a fight, and then I'm literally just going to stand there and let them punch me.
Transport from healthy to severely beaten.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, transport. Yeah, that's probably, and it doesn't really Like, it doesn't super matter because we know what you're doing, and that's the important bit. So let's get the engagement roll going here. So we started 1 die. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? I don't know that we... What would you say about this pilgrimage? Does it sound bold or daring to you?
I would say it's pretty daring because of all these like various different things we're going to do, which are potentially quite hazardous to us.
There's quite a lot of unknowns.
Yeah,
Also,
there's that.
Zenith's not considered that there doesn't appear to be, not been told when and how if we know that this thing has witnessed the thing it needs to witness. So he could just be getting laid on for like 2 hours and nothing's going to happen.
Yep.
But that's the kind of reckless way user I am.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so we'll take 1 from that, and then... is the target... Yeah, and this ties into... Let's go with transport, right? So we're trying to do the pilgrimage is the plan. And we're trying to take the urn to these places where it needs to go and then deposit at the temple, presumably. So is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special... Yes, the whole pilgrimage is about this very thing. So we're at 1. Kind of one of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight. Yes, they already did, so we're up to 2. Any enemies or rivals interfering? Not, at least not yet. So we're at 2. And I think that's where we will remain. So, yeah, a fortune roll with 2 dice, someone?
Okay. Four.
Okay, good. So we start at a risky position. So this is the first plan that isn't completely on lock, probably because you don't have all the details.
Yeah, I was going to say that makes sense because previously it's been like, right, we need to go and infiltrate this, we need to do this. We've had all like, the facts, whereas now like, we're sort of going on a mystical quest and we've got some idea of what we could do, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's an element of make it up as you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so risky.
Also, how many wussers who just want a 1 credit are you going to kick the asses off before you come against the tough guy?
Well, but even so, by doing that, I'll be sort of wearing down my natural resources, so still it will tax my endurance. Because I don't know if you know this, Mishishi, but sort of beating on someone with your better hands is a fairly exhausting proposition.
Not one of my major skills, I'm afraid.
Because, damn it, you're a doctor, not
a cave fighter.
Nor mine, however, I have been practicing in the ship's gym.
Matthew, you went robot? We heard none of that, please.
I said, I hope it's not going to be some kind of Zen reflection that how we achieve these tasks is reflected in the final play. So if we go about it in a violent and warlike manner, when we get there, we'll be violent. You go through with peaceful endurance.
Do you intend to propose that when you go into the cavern and you decapitate your enemy, there's going to be a deep reflection on the fact that the only evil is the one that you brought here?
Yeah, the way you have found is darkness.
We're literally going into the darkness, though, but let's not dwell on that yet. So, Zenith, your plan is offer a bounty for someone who can take you on, and then take all comers.
I'm just going to walk in, have a stiff drink, smash that down me in a wanna. Then I'm going to turn round near the bar, loudly address everyone, hold the cred stick up so everyone can see it. Then I'm going to put it in my robe and shout loudly, I've got a cred stick here for anyone who can best me in unarmed combat. And then I'm just going to be come at me.
Put them up.
Yeah. Luckily, I've recently increased my scrap rating.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what are you rolling as the contestants roll in?
It will depend entirely on the contestant. Obviously, I'm going to be attempting
also, could you say for the first man to best you, not for any man who can best you?
I'm going to say for the...
We may be here all night otherwise.
Yeah, I'm going to say for the first person to best me. that obviously I'm going to be attuning myself to the way, because this whole thing's like a test of the way. But I think because it's a trial of like endurance, I'm going to deliberately try not to use any of like my way tricks. I'm just going to try and rely on like my raw sort of like, I've got no weapons, it's all about my toughness versus their toughness, and seeing who can like hang in there the longest.
Yep. All right. Yeah. So
take my robe off.
Yeah. There is a number of lowlives who are lining up in considerable order, and it seems like maybe this isn't like, maybe not in like come and fight me, but there's like things like this maybe do happen sometimes, and people have been instructed by the management that there's not going to be bar fights in here. So they line up. What magic is this? Mushishi has shifted cameras.
Mushishi's forgotten she doesn't have any dice downstairs.
It seems Mushishi is the Waymaster.
It was her all along.
Two places at once.
And then we get the shot of the other, like one of the Mushishis just like fading away. There's a pile of robes.
But yeah, so I'm gonna, as the low lives line up, I'm basically just gonna wait for like whoever's first, and my plan's gonna be to like let them throw the first punch, and then sort of react to it appropriately.
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm not just gonna stand there and be like.
Yeah. So you think probably like the first three, some variety of scavenger maybe from probably the day side, because they have a bunch of reflective surfaces hung on to their rather crude clothing, and you can see from the bits of skin that are exposed that it's kind of red. it's looking rough. So these individuals like full on. I think there's probably sort of slit on the face between clothing layers where they can like put the drinks, but otherwise they're kind of all like swaddled up in protective clothing. But it's shit quality, so skin still shows through, and it's been damaged by the massive radiance of the day side. So like one of these like gets up from the table, scrawny fella or lady, you don't really know, or it might be an alien. it doesn't show because they're all bundled up in what they could scavenge, really.
As he stands up, I've basically like I'm stripped down to just like my trousers, so like bare chested, etc. And this is probably the first time that Viper gets to see the fact that I've got like imperial tattoos like all down one side of my body.
And it's not Legion tattoos. This is the like good shit.
Yeah, depending on your experience with the with imperial noble families, you may recognise that I've got like the house tattoos of like the Valorum, or like an old moneyed like imperial military family, like all down one side of my body.
That will get me to raise an eyebrow or two. Well, I only have two eyebrows.
So obviously normally I keep the robes on, but now I'm just like.
Yeah. So he has basically like, if there's military tattoos, it's gonna be officer stuff, and that's something you don't see often in the Legion circles you run in.
Yeah. Would that have made him the enemy? Like, would that have made him on the opposite side of the conflict? Oh, he's muted. You're muted.
Yeah, that would have made Zenith back in the day. He would have been one of those people who went into the officer academy, straight job as a commander, no battle experience necessary, tactics, strategy, and that's it. As far as like the sort of stereotype goes, obviously there's more like people who have wider range of experience.
Officer, pip pip.
You may also notice, Zenith, that I've got some, like, obviously, like that, the sort of hand done, like, tattoos, like the needle ones.
Yeah.
I've got some of those that are, like, over the top and sort of intertwined with it, that have obviously been done later and not, like, by a professional like the original ones.
We all have a past. So, I'm going to stand here with this mystical box. I thought about trying to see if I could feel anything, but I just don't know what to do.
Just shake it gently, see if it rattles.
Just try tuning yourself. You never know.
I really want to and go play cards, but I shall endure
this torment.
Oh, I see. No, that's quite good, because you're also enduring, because our natural preposition is to, like, go and gamble our tits off, because we both love the gambling. It's our vice, and we're both resisting our vice to gamble, and I'm also getting beaten up, so it's like triple endurance. It's like an endurance three-way. It's like all endurance every day.
And I'm sat here watching you get beaten up and not intervening,
which is your natural urge as a doctor.
Yep. So. Turns out we made it, guys. So Zenith, this dayside scrapper is putting hands up, and there's some I think metal surfaces on the gloves because they need to dig in.
Yeah.
So
I'll just do the sort of like warrior monk pose.
Yeah.
And just wait for him to throw the first. So like circling a bit, wait for him to throw the first punch.
Yeah. So in comes the first punch, and what are you rolling?
Okay, I'm going to roll scrap, and my aim is, as he does the blow, I'm going to sort of like push his arm to one side and then come over with my other arm.
Yep. Good. Let's go. It's going to be risky, as we established, and the effect is going to be a standard.
Okay, I'm going to... Is it 2 stress to add a dice?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'll take the 2 stress to add a dice.
Or you could take a devil's bargain, which doesn't cost any stress. That's fine. It costs 1 devil.
If I didn't want any stress, I'd use a gambit. But so you say it was desperate?
Risky.
Risky. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay, so submit, effect standard, bonus dice 1, 5.
Yep. All right. So they aren't really pros at this kind of thing, even if they are vicious in this neighborhood. So I think you, with that roll, because we don't do the whole thing of us fighting out 16 fights here. So you trash the scavenger crowd sufficiently that there's more interest and folks come in. So let's say you spend, and I will roll a die. Okay, so you spend a couple of hours with like a break in between where you. I'm
not taking a break.
Okay, well,
it's an endurance trial.
Yeah, Osho comes up at the your side of the dive bar, basically, where you have the fighting going on, and he puts out a drink on the counter, and he yells like, "Whenever you're ready."
as he starts doing that, I'm just going to be like, I don't need a break.
Okay.
And you should go about your business.
Yeah. He goes about his business. Good. So you trash the scavenger crowd and a couple of the tough customers around, and it takes you a couple of hours, all put together. And by the end, you're looking at let's say there's like a dozen folks nursing different kinds of contusions, and
I will be providing whatever medical aid is necessary. I'm trusting Zenith not to cause anything permanent.
Yeah, that's
with my med kit on the spot.
My basic aim as I'm fighting people, it's not to like maim them or anything like that. Yep. It's just to like knock them out, knock them to the ground, and then as far as I'm concerned, they're out.
Yep. And a bunch of them disagree, and then you do it again. However, because your highest is 5, which gets a consequence going. The consequence here, which you can resist as always, is you make some waves because you beat up a dozen folks very openly in the biggest dive bar. There's going to be word going around to the tune of 2 heat in the system.
I'm fine with that.
All right, so I'll add that. We had none here, so we added 2, which are the only ones.
Far as I'm concerned, if the next time like me and Viper rock in here for like a bit of a gambling spree, and then we're like double tough hombres, that's all good as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, yeah, you're doing the PR. All right, so you spend a couple of hours smashing heads, and Viper spends a couple of hours, I guess, like biting nails and be like, I've been counting the cards, like I could have a really good chance here for a jackpot. And Mushishi is doing triage for Zenith's customers, and you wrap up after the fighters give out. No one wants to fight you. You're too hard. They don't want any of this today, at least. And Osho comes over after, like an hour after the first attempt. He puts the second drink on the counter and takes the previous one away. Here's to the winner. Thanks for not breaking the furniture.
I'll nod at him respectfully because he's the owner of this place that we've come into, and he's allowed us to do this. And I'll say, thank you. You're welcome.
All right, now it's around on the house, and he gets about serving space drinks to everyone.
And I'm going to take the cred stick that I was going to use for the winner. I'm going to put that down and say, make it 2 rounds.
2 rounds for everyone. Let's hear it for Zenith. And that's probably where the heat comes from, because Osho puts out the name, which he knows because you've been here before. So, all right. So there's no outward, like nothing has changed, Viper, with the urn. There's no sound effects, no lights go off. The column doesn't react. You're not sure if it was supposed to, because there's no indication at all of that kind of thing in the instructions.
Are we done here? Can you tell?
Okay, I'm gonna.
Can I go play cards now?
I'm gonna put my hand on the urn and I'm gonna try and reach out with the way to get some sense of whether we've achieved what we need to achieve.
Right. All right. Roll your thingy. And there is nothing but desperation in interacting with the urn. The urn is much like you said,
uncaring.
It's an armed thermal detonator in the magical sense. So.
Okay. So I was just taking my advancement thing for doing a desperate roll.
Yep.
Okay. So 4.
4 is you do it, but there is a big consequence. Let's see what I had in my notes here.
Is a 5 a little consequence? Just.
No. 4, 5 are. There's a big consequence. 6 is you do it, and 3 to 1 is yo fucked.
Uh-oh.
See, also as part of like the endurance trial, I'm very deliberately like not calling on any of my reserves like I would do normally, like obviously out of character, like gambits and stuff like that. I'm literally just going with like my flat stuff and just taking what comes basically as part of the endurance.
Yep. You do sense the sort of reminiscent. There's a familiarity in the urn that you can read that matches the sort of ideas and feelings that you've had as a result of this plan and during your fight. And you can sense some of Mushishi and Viper in there as well. The urn has absorbed some of the surrounding things, ideas, feelings, which you take to be a sign of, we did it, and the consequence is going to be that having sufficiently and very successfully charged the urn with the essence of endurance, there's going to be something that will become attracted to the urn at a later time.
It's fun.
Because you did a good thing, very well, and the urn is now radiating endurance.
Okay, yep. So I'll turn to Viper and Mashishi and say, I believe we're done here. We can head back to the ship and head for the market in Ugar.
Yep. And you are in Ugar as well right now, so you don't need to drive around unless you want the hover cars or bikes. So you can just travel around in the big city, the spaceport city of Ugar, and you're going to the next column.
Yep.
So the column of silence. You park outside with your hover bikes, I guess. Those would be available to you if you wanted to use them in the city. There is a big open-air market square where you find yourselves. It is sort of set up. If you took the Roman Colosseum and you made a square and you only left the outer walls, that would be the walls of this open air market area. So it's sort of, there's new construction inside, but the outer, like the limits of this area are marked by these crumbling, quite old walls. And inside this market square, I suppose in the middle of a couple of stalls, and maybe there's a house there as well. It's sort of just in the background, something to, I don't know, lean boxes against. You find this worn down remnant of a once beautiful stonework column that is shot through with pearlescent veins. So it's very much, if you took an obelisk, you chopped it in half, and you sandblasted it for 1,000 years, that would be this. It's an eroded column, remnants of one.
Okay, and as far as the instructions go, we had to touch the seal to the column, leave it to rest there for an hour, recite this mantra of silence in our mind, then basically meditate.
Yeah. Let the chant of silence harmonize with the column, whatever that means.
So is this like a fairly busy area?
Yes, it's full of people.
In which case, can I suggest, Zenith, that you meditate and myself and Viper stand beside you and prevent anyone from disturbing you?
I think that's a wise course of action, and I'm basically gonna sit down cross-legged in front of the column, touch the seal on the urn to the column, then I'm going to place the column sort of between my crossed legs basically, and I'm going to sit there. I'm going to reach forward with my hands, so my hands are touching the column, and my elbows are touching the urn, so I'm forming a connection between them. Then using my sort of meditation, which obviously I do an awful lot of, I'm going to focus myself entirely on mentally running through this mantra that we got in the instructions. And if I can, what I'll do is any sort of sounds in the background, like the ambient sounds of the place, or the creaking of the stone in the column, I'm going to try and harmonise the mantra in my head with these background sounds, because I know from previously the urn sort of absorbed the emotions and the feelings of what was going on. So I'm going to try and harmonise this mental chant to the sort of background sort of pulse of this area if I can.
Yeah, sounds good. And Mushishi and Viper are standing guard nearby. All right.
And I believe that I'm always welcome when I'm wearing my medical clothes.
Right, yeah. So Mushishi is dressed in, I believe, the short description that we have of the official hegemonic medics thing is, I think it mentions red somewhere, but you're free, Mushishi, to create what that outfit is, and it will be the official, it's going to be the outfit that if you walk into a war zone, people are like, oh, we're not shooting this. Like it's illegal in the extreme to shoot this person. What does your outfit look like?
It's going to be some sort of scrubs made out of some space age fabric that's very easy to clean for obvious reasons. There's probably going to be like 2 or 3 layers to it. Again, obvious reasons. There'd be like a layer of it that's sort of quite extreme with sort of masks and gloves and all that business. And then there'd probably be like a sort of trimmed down version that's probably not dissimilar from a standard nurse's uniform now, because it makes sense to have short sleeves. It makes sense to have the rest of it easy to get in and out of and easy to clean. Again, the red probably just because it's easier to clean.
Right. So
and
Mushishi,
then obviously the hegemony would have all their like big symbols on them. Mine wouldn't. It'd be notably plain.
Yep. So you have Viper next to you, a hegemonic-ish medic, and while you're standing guard over the meditating Zenith, I think there's a Xeno that walks by, does a double take, and then approaches you, and then like snaps fingers at you, and then switches to basic and says, you owe me credits. 10 credits, motioning at Viper.
I like put my hand in my pocket as if I'm rummaging around for like money, and then I bring up my hand and go up.
10 credits, what for?
The Xeno reveals their features of throwing a hood back, and it's I think this one, there's multiple different species in this sector as well. The most prominent being Mem, which is the species of the assassin that we met in the first episode. However, this creature, you don't know the species name. However, it looks like a cross between, I would say, it's a human-sized figure, but the face looks like the cross between a monkey and a really hairy cat. And there's a small cat nose that just sniffs at you. And
wait,
Mushishi.
There's cat people in this setting? Why did nobody tell me?
There is now. It's a cat monkey. The Xeno looks at you, Mushishi, sniffles the air a bit, and says in a very rapid succession, this lose it cards many times year ago. Lose very badly. Should not play cards.
True.
Did play cards. Lose money. Give money.
I just kind of shrug. Like, I'm trying not to make any sound.
Yeah, he or the Xeno is making all the sound. Give money.
He has no money.
Well, then he indentured worker, and he yells across the aisle. Yells across the aisle to presumably like an acquaintance of theirs. Hey, bring over the papers for indentured worker. Quick.
Bounty hunter, not an indentured worker.
You can see there's a human comes over. There's a small plaque on the front of their suit that says like I suppose like lawyer, and then their credentials, like which institution they got their thing from, and it's a local school here. And this comes over and says, some paperwork needed done, contract, I believe. Yes, this man, my indentured worker. in debt to me over card game.
No. I'm afraid this gentleman is mistaken.
The lawyer is looking back and forth. No, very distinctly. Remember, on the floor, puking, then get up, lose several card games, 10 credits. Gesturing forcefully towards Viper. At three sons.
I don't think he has ever had enough money to be able to bet for 10 credits. 2 credits, maybe. I don't believe he has ever had enough to bet you 10.
I shoot Rikishi slightly, just like a slightly. I win.
Hey. Like 2 credits is start. Give 2 credits. Knock off several months, yes? And the lawyer's like, we could factor that in. If...
That's exactly what I'm doing.
2 credits only.
And indentured servitude. That is 10 credits.
No.
Leans in and says, no problem with you. However, you friend with my worker here?
He is not yours.
Well, we make paper. However,
No,
other friend of mine, big, scary, scarlet wolf, kill man if not pay debt.
I see.
I don't make the rule.
I still find it very hard to believe that this man ever had enough money to be able to bet you for 10 credits. How drunk was he at the time?
On the floor, puke.
And you still played against him. So you knew he wasn't in his right mind. He clearly didn't have the money that he was saying he was going to bet.
Is not my problem.
I would.
His problem.
It looks like your problem from where I'm sitting.
No.
I think perhaps at most Mr. Viper owes you a new rug.
Oh, not my rug. Club rug.
Which club was this in, Viper?
And Matthew, you are entirely free to determine if this guy is legit, if you ever played with him, and if you don't think so, then that's fine as well.
No, I'll say I did play with him. However, the debt is nowhere near what he's saying it is. He's obviously added some kind. He's obviously added some kind of interest. Like a credit or 2.
Yeah, because he's saying year ago, so
yeah,
there's interest.
He's using probably some kind of obscure like gambling law in the town we're in or something like that, unclaimed debts, like in some kind of corporate tax. You know what I mean? Like he's worked it out somehow.
Listen, I am doing business, very nice indoor job, not dirty, no puke on carpet. 5 years, maybe 4 if efficient and not drunk.
No.
3 years?
No.
This is not how negotiation goes.
You're not going to buy my friend today.
And Zenith, it's not going well. It's not going well with the focus here. Do you wanna make a roll for?
Viper, why did you not just give him 1 credit when he first turned up and tell him to fuck off?
I will indeed make a roll. I'm going to use one of the gambits.
Right. Okay. Yeah. The roll is desperate because there's a Xeno screeching about indentured servitude in your ear, and it's not working out great for you.
5.
Does the ghost appear and tell the bug to fuck off?
Yeah, it turns up and just force lightning.
Yeah.
No. You do it, however. The consequence will be, I would say, in this instance, because it was we're talking about desperate here, and the situation is what it is. There's a lot of people around. It's going to be +3 heat into the system, which you can resist, of course, as always. However, the reason why this is because you do it, and you try more, as evidenced by your use of the gambit. You try more and with more focus because of the fact that this Xeno is disturbing you. So you clamp down, you use all your tricks, and then you go in deep. You do it. You start to harmonize with the column, the remnants rather of the column, with the chant of silence. And if you hadn't had such a razor focus on it, you might have been able to control it more. But the chant spreads, and there's a radius spanning, I think, at least 50 meters everywhere from the remnants of the column where no sound exists. So if you want to resist that, that is fine. And if you don't, then the silence zone exists, and people are like, "What?" And
yeah,
therefore,
that is too damn cool for me to resist, I'm afraid.
All right, so it's sort of like, listen, your friend here, dumb, play with money, doesn't have, puke on carpet, very poor man. And there's just nothing. You can hear nothing at all, Mushishi and Viper. And you can tell that Zenith has some deep trance going on here. And I will add the 3 heats. There we go. All right. Good. You gather a crowd, people watching. What the shit is going on? Because apparently there's a radius of no noise at all. The Xeno eventually, with his lawyer friend, they go away because it's too weird now, and it's not worth the effort. You're muted, Mushishi. The silence zone has gotten to you.
I'm just going to stand and smile at them until they do.
Yeah. All right. So spend an hour being gawked at by some of the market goers, and then the silence retracts into the column, and Zenith, you're getting awakened from your trance.
So as I awaken, I'm going to sort of look around, like not really being conscious of what's been occurring because I've been so focused on this. So I'm just going to stand up and in like a very quiet voice, I'm just going to say, it is done, we can leave.
Yeah, there's a like a crowd of people with their arms crossed and their heads tilted to the sides, just like shaking their heads. And who are these people? What?
Bow to Zenith, I assume, is still carrying the urn, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah, and just follow him back to the spaceship. I assume we're going back to the spaceship.
Well, no, we may as well just walk to the...
Are we walking? Right, let's start walking.
Right.
Did they want like 100,000 pilgrims following us?
They didn't specify either way.
Okay.
So I would gather they're not concerned.
Okay.
That guy whinged so much that he lost the ability to speak. I mean, that's something you don't see every day.
And then I think we're going to head to Flaming Hot Burgers.
Yeah. So you take off, and it's out of the way. It's sort of one of these like older establishments where it's run down, kind of dingy on the edge of the suburbs of Ugar, and you find the parking lot next to Flaming Hot Burgers, which is a quality establishment. It's quite run down, but they do serve a spicy burger, and you you get your hover bikes in the parking lot.
That is a spicy burger.
Yeah. Yeah, they measure the hotness in the number of suns, because the day side and the I think there's probably the mascot or the logo of Flaming Hot Burger is probably like a very stylized figure with the like mouth open and then like the sun blasting out of their mouth, as if to signify the intensity of the spice and the taste. There's like one customer there, no one else. You're in the parking lot. There's some trash bins around, and you look. There's nothing standing up. You can see. You find it in a ditch, half buried in there. It is.
Have we been followed?
That's a good question. Someone please give me a fortune roll.
Can I suggest that just in case we sit down and have a burger before we move on? Because anyone that's followed us will probably get bored while we're sitting eating a burger.
Is this a 1 dice fortune roll?
Yep, yeah, just 1 die fortune roll. Nope, you're good. They thought you were too weird to follow around.
Well, they're not wrong.
Right, so you're left to your own devices in the parking lot of Flaming Hot Burgers, and you find a column of synchronicity in the ditch, half buried in the earth. It is a stonework column like the last two. It seems to be inlaid with some sort of ancient circuitry. However, it's also covered in graffiti from presumably delinquent youth on the outskirts of Ugar. And you're there, and the instructions said to situate the urn nearby and wait until the seal shimmers, and then touch the column, reach within, and give something of yourself to the deceased and those present.
Okay, so I'm gonna stand next to the column, sort of put the urn down beneath my feet, and pretty much like wait there, waiting for the the seal to shimmer.
Yep, and it eventually does. It's a very light blue shimmer. It continues to shimmer.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out and touch the column, and I'm probably going to pick up the urn as well and like touch the urn to the column at the same time I touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says reach within and give something of yourself to the seal and those present. Now, obviously, the thing that I've been working on most for a long time is I've been working on this project where by working on the sort of the weapon that I possess, trying to unlock like way talents and whatever. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to almost like sacrifice that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take apart the weapon. So effectively like sacrificing the project clock that I built up.
Yep.
Gone. I'm going to take it apart. I'm then going to place, like, if there's like a ring of metal or something, I'm going to place that over the top, almost like a band around the urn. So that's like what I'm giving to the seal. Then I'm going to take other bits of it and I'm going to hand them to Mushishi and to Viper. So effectively, obviously, you guys all know that I've been working on constructing this thing for ages, and I'm like obsessed with it. I'm always tinkering with it. It's like, oh, I'm going to unlock my way powers and then use this, and I'm just going to literally like take it apart, put a bit on the urn, and I'm going to hand like keep a little bit myself, and then give like the main parts of it as well to you.
And do you take them, Mushishi and Viper, the parts of this artifact? Yeah. So you're standing in the parking lot, being handed. To do with it? Yeah. So as you say that, Viper, like, what am I supposed to do with this piece of metal? The circuitry in the column shimmers as well, this light blue shimmer, and so does the bits that you're given, Mushishi and Viper. And feel free to mark 2 XP under your resolve thing on your sheet. as you are infused with the insights that Zenith has gathered.
How much, sorry?
2 XP.
2 XP in the
Two.
resolve.
Oh, both of us. All right. Okay.
Yeah, both of you. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
And as Viper's saying, what am I supposed to do with this? And that effect kicks in. I'm going to say this is symbolic of the fact that I sacrifice the knowledge I have gained to lay the master of the night speakers to rest, and that you are valuable parts of this journey and may find perhaps some of your own enlightenment upon it.
Thank you, Zenith. It's definitely been an interesting day.
I can't
still
help
looking at
but
it
like a
like,
little bit of
what
a smile when you say that.
What is this?
Consider,
Yes.
if nothing else, consider it a token of friendship, Viper.
And thanks to, I can't remember the name of the guy in the urn, but Mushish
Kadat.
would remember.
Kadat.
Thanks to
Kadat.
Kadat for trusting us to take him. So, I believe there's one more step to get to the temple.
Yeah,
And put
and
the
I
urn in
think
place.
Oh, do we
As-
not
as-
each have to like give up something?
Yeah,
It's just one of us.
that is a thing, Viper, that you're
Yeah,
spot on.
I was just
So-
about to mention that.
Yeah.
I'll say to Mushishi and Viper, both as I have sacrificed something that was dear and was of spiritual importance to me, both of you must now reach inside yourself and give something to the urn and to those of us who are here. This is the way.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah,
Okay.
the urn seal and also the circuitry on the column continue to shimmer.
The gift must be
Okay.
something that has meaning to you.
I mean, I got a lot of got a lot of memories. I got a lot of scars. And I was kind of he's thinking to himself. He's kind of, oh, okay.
I'm going to
weird.
look at Viper and I'll say, Viper, how many of your special cigars do you have?
I was thinking of the cigars, but it's kind of private, you know.
That is the point of this. It is to give something of yourselves so that we are all joined in this pilgrimage. As I have given of myself to you, and you've felt the effects which have bound us all together, so you will give, and your gifts will bind us even further together. That is the way.
Okay, all right. So I pull out like 3 of these cigars. I only really keep like 5 on me at any one time. So I put one on the weird magic box. And I give one to Zenith and one to Mushishi.
Mine disappears into my robe.
Smoke one as well.
Oh, I'll smoke it with you if you're smoking yours.
Okay.
Yeah, in
It
fact,
does seem appropriate.
I think what we should do is we all smoke one, and the one you've put next to the urn, we sort of light it almost like an incense stick and let it burn
sure.
down.
Yeah,
so
you
it's like
pin
the
it
dead
at
are
that
smoking
angle.
with us. Yeah, and we let the smoke sort of waft over the urn and the column, etc.
Yep, that sounds great. Let me figure this one out.
That's it, Viper. Join me on the mystical side of the way.
So as I'm
Yep.
as I'm blitzing or whatever it's called, smoking up. I'm not smoking.
Blitzing.
Blitzing. Oh, what's it called? It's like there's a name for it, isn't there?
Vaping.
No, when you actually first strike it up, it's like a thing. It's got a name, but never mind. It's
Yeah. Space blitzing. That's what we're doing.
blitzing. So I take a breath of it. So these cigars, famous from the 19th Legion, quite rare now. The Legion, most commonly you would know, it's one of the legions that fought against the Great. It was the conflict, wasn't it, in the background? Essentially the Firefly of this background story, isn't it? There's like a faction war.
Yeah. So if you're talking about the Legion,
Yeah.
thing. So the local legion is the 51st Legion, which you were a part of, and then the other group is called the Lost Legion, which they were actually the personal bodyguard army unit of the previous hegemon before the current one.
Yeah.
And they had a disagreement with the ascension of the current one, so they went rogue.
Yeah. Whichever one I call them. Loyal Legionnaires through and through. The best of the best. Didn't take the shit from no one. Great teachers. But what's not commonly known about them is they eventually joined the Lost Legion. And a lot of their achievements were scrubbed from history. Because something out about it didn't like. As it turns out, when I left my... And the closest thing I have to a real father, survivor of this 19th Legion. And he told me the value of that. Just because you start out as one thing doesn't mean you can't do the right thing eventually and make your own way. You're not bound by what you are created as. So, it's
As Viper's finishing telling his story, what I'm going to do is the ash from the cigars. I'm gonna sort of dip my finger in the ash, then on my own forehead and on each of their foreheads, I'm gonna inscribe in the ash a way rune to represent them. So there'll be a healer for Mushishi, and then there'll be sort of an explorer rune for Viper. Mine will be one for student, because I'm a student of the way. And then I'm going to inscribe whatever the rune is for honoured master or whatever on the side of the urn in the ash. And then I'll do one for knowledge in the ash on the pillar.
Yep.
And understanding.
So the reason I have them every time we finish a mission is forging my own path every time. I'm not, don't have to be what I was meant to be. And you can see he's sort of struggling that he's never really verbalized this to anyone before. So he's kind of half embarrassed, but then also he's kind of enjoying the smoke as well.
And now it's happening in the parking lot of Flaming Hot Burgers.
After I've had some spicy burgers.
Yeah. So as you smoke, and you are each bearing a rune of the students of the way now, feel free to mark 2 XP in your playbook advancement track thing.
Okay, I like what you're doing here.
Oh, boom, I'm full.
All right, and that leaves Mushishi.
One sec, I'm definitely not scoffing chocolate. Where's the playbook track on? There it is. So, 2 possible options here. One of them being proper old school, putting in some blood. And the other one being I've got candy on my list of potential items I can have.
I could just give out candy rather than deep and personal admission.
Well,
yeah, we're soul searching. It's just have some dairy milk.
Have a Werther's original. What?
Come on, he's an old master.
I was going to follow it up with some story about some patient or other. I haven't really got it.
You didn't used to be a torture person, did you?
In fact, to be honest, Mushishi is very scientifically minded. Mushishi understands the symbolism of what's going on, but isn't really able to verbalize what needs to be for this. So blood makes sense for Mushishi. I'm willing to shed blood for this cause. So I'm going to take out my syringes. I'm going to basically take like a little sample bottle or something. Well, I'll need 3 of them, won't I? The syringe full of blood into each of them, and the one that I'm going to put with the urn, whatever's left of the ash from the cigars, I'll put into that bottle as well. And then wherever I've drawn it from, I'll get a spot of blood on my finger and fingerprint on top of the jar. Again, because I'm very scientifically minded, I know that if I found that in 100 years, I would be able to find out a lot about the person whose blood it was and the person whose fingerprint it was.
From transference of knowledge.
Yeah, that's what I've got right now.
Yep, and that checks out entirely. So Zenith and Viper, please put in 2 to your insight XP tracker thing.
Insight, did you say?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, you got it.
All right. As Mushishi's blood ritual comes to a close, which is the thing I enjoyed saying.
Damn it, I'm a doctor, not a blood shaman.
Damn it, I'm a doctor, not a black magician in space. The shimmer slowly dissipates from both the urn seal and the circuitry in the ditch column.
I believe
and
we
it
can
seems that is done.
So it's off to the 4th column, which
I think as you hop on your hover bikes, the chef comes out of the flaming hot burger and is like, "Hey y'all, you want some takeaway?"
Yeah, let's have some takeaway.
Yeah, I'll chip some money to get us on the burger.
To Kalal or whatever he was called.
Kadat.
So burgers to the dead.
Yeah.
Right,
so meat for the meat throne.
Yeah. So you grab some takeaway from Flaming Hot Burgers and speed off into the distance. Now, the 4th column, is already in the night side, quote unquote wasteland. And you also know that a few kilometers into the actual proper night side, so when the twilight zone ends and the night side begins, there's only a couple of kilometers of a sort of buffer zone beyond which all light sources fail for no discernible reason. So moving on beyond that, you're relying entirely on stellar light, which isn't stellar. But all the known light sources, doesn't matter what the tech is, they all fail in the night side. So you are already going to have to go beyond the sort of dark limit of the night side into actually the space where you cannot produce light. Do you go there with your hover bikes? Or...
We have ridden these hover bikes through a storm, shouting to each other and using comms.
Yeah.
It is possible for us to go like at half speed in formation.
We'll keep them, but we'll
looking pretty badass while we're doing it, so that we're like a bit more respect for the dead guy, and without too much risk to ourselves.
Yeah, I suggest we all tick off communicator on our equipment list, because then we can sort of be keeping in touch with each other.
Get the network.
And we stay close. So if the communicators stop working for whatever reason, we can vocally sort of keep track of our positions with each other.
Yep.
Then I think we gun those space hogs and head into the dark zone.
Yeah, you head into the night side, and as if on cue, when you pass the limit, the lights on your hover bikes just fade.
To the limit.
Yep. Past the point of no return, maybe. Mm-hmm. Right, so you get to the final column. Let me bring up my notes again. So this is the column of the passage. You find a resplendent ancient stonework column shot through with veins of sapphire. You can just about make it out that there's a different kind of material in the column in the darkness of the night side. And it is quite cold indeed in here. And you dismount your hover bikes in the wasteland, and you also notice 2 barrel-sized, it seems like ornamental incense burners set at the foot of the column of the passage. And the instructions here say, situate the urn at the base of the column and light the smoke of the passage. Breathe deep of the scent of night and meditate and open your inward eye. If you have completed the previous rites honoring the spirit of the urn, the smoke will show you a passage to the temple in the darkness.
Okay, so setting the urn at the base of the column, not a problem, we can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a look at the incense burners. Is there any like incense in them, or
Full of it?
Absolutely full of it. Right, okay, so I'm basically gonna take these guys through sort of like meditation 101, just like the sort of like the basics of meditation. You know, sit down, get yourself comfortable, relax, trying to empty your mind as much as possible, and then as I sort of lead them in that, I'm going to light these incense burners, and then as the smoke starts wafting across, I'm just going to say, like, focus on your breath, empty your mind, breathe deeply of the smoke of the night, and then like, and try and like get us all to like time our breath, so we're all like,
yep. It is an interesting experience, Zenith. You note, to light these incense burners with a light that doesn't emit any actual photons of light. That's weird. You set the incense going. You instruct Mushishi and Viper in this. So Mushishi and Viper, I think let's get some kind of a roll going for how well you take the Zenith's instruction. You will get help from Zenith, obviously, because that's literally what he's doing.
Yeah, and okay. I'll be saying to you guys, I'll be like, listen to as I breathe in and sort of do as I do. So we'll all like.
What kind of a roll you're after there?
You tell me. How do you meditate, Viper?
Oh, damn it, I'm a doctor, not a way seeker.
Nice.
Just bought an extra dice in that skill.
Yep. Yeah, Viper, do you skulk your way into meditation?
That's exactly how I do it.
Do you sneak attack your own mind?
By moving silently and with grace.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Are you willing to buy that for a space dollar?
We have a critical from Mushishi. That looks great. So would that then be, if you're using Skulk, would that then be Viper bluffing? Because it's kind of the deception angle.
He's bluffing himself. He's like, "Oh, I don't need this meditation," and I'm in.
Because obviously I'm a skeptic of this, you know.
Yeah. So you're trying to sell yourself on this? Is that it? Or are you actually trying to fool Zenith? Who are you trying to fool, yourself or Zenith? I feel like this is important to establish.
No, I know it is, and I feel the consequences will be. I'd probably be trying it, but I'm not really believing it, so I'm probably fooling Zenith. You know what I mean? Like that's my.
You're doing it for him.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay,
Since
yeah,
you're-
I'll buy that for a space dollar.
Okay. Right.
You
Is
might
this
you might want to
risky or desperate?
take some stress to get an extra dice. Just so.
I am going to take some stress. But I'm establishing the position. Is it going to be?
That's a good question. I think we'll go with it's just risky.
Okay, because it's desperate. I'd be like, shit, space monster
Mm.
somewhere.
Mm.
All right, I'll take.
You're
Boxes too.
you're crapping out. You
Ah.
you cut off at I'll take.
I'll take two. I'll take some stress to get an extra die.
Yep.
Standard effect. Okay, bonus dice 1. Here we go.
You do it. You So I guess that is you both fool Zenith into thinking that you're doing the thing, and I guess you're also doing the thing on accident, or are you just fooling Zenith?
Since they both got a 6, do we now have like 2 gambits?
Yeah, because neither of them used gambits, because you used gambits previously. Yeah.
Do I get XP for the double 6?
No.
I think it's only
'cause
for the
it wasn't
desperate.
risky enough.
No, yeah, it's not desperate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. So, Viper,
Yep.
did you do the thing, or did you just successfully fool Zenith?
I mean, from Viper's point of view, he doesn't know. If you know what I mean, like
That's how much he's deceived himself.
Like he's trying to, he's doing his best not to like ruin it for everybody, but he doesn't believe in the ways.
Yeah. So Viper is in the dark, so to speak. Okay.
Maybe the voyage of self-discovery is part of the way. Therefore, he has unintentionally followed the way, like he's sidestepped into it.
Yeah, I mean, if the way is destiny, the fuck are you going to do about it? If there's a random seed to the universe, what are you going to do to change the course of events if everything's
Usually
derived
I stopped
from
to
that?
ask for directions, but that joke's got a bit old with Zenith.
Yep. Yeah, do you know the way? Yeah. Just slowly cranking up the middle finger. So we successfully, or at least on the surface, in Viper's case, we meditate. And also, Mushishi, you can clear, I believe, 1 stress for your critical hit, if you have stress.
Nice.
I knew there was something you got for the double 6.
Yeah.
So the way I'm thinking of this is all this meditation stuff is going to be a lot of like what I learned in surgeon school and that kind of thing, clearing your mind, focusing, all that sort of stuff. That's where that double 6 is coming from. I'm not expecting to get anything from the ritual, but I'm going through the motions of the ritual with, again, the idea that this is someone that's died. Anyone that's died deserves like some respect. And my friend wants to join this club. One day it'll be my friend that comes here. Maybe if he's like a big up enough Jedi. I'm wanting to show the same respect to this urn that I would to Zenith if he was here.
And with these thoughts, we fade out of the scene as the incense smoke buffets you in the gentle, cold breeze of the night side. And as we fade back in, you're still sat on the wasteland, dirt, basically. The incense smoke is everywhere. However, facing towards the column as you were before, the column and the incense burners are no longer there. However, the incense smoke is thinner towards the front. There's a path through the smoke that is quite apparent to you. However, there's a fairly dark, sort of midnight blue shimmer to the sky that wasn't there before. More than starlight, it would seem. And you can see against this very dark, but still it's not black, dark blue shimmer, you can see an outline of a structure in the distance. What do you do?
Okay, so I'm going to very reverently pick up the urn, just sort of like gently like touch each of my companions on the shoulder. Then I'm going to stand up and start following the path towards the structure.
Yeah. Follow you quietly.
Viper, are you bullshitting?
You look round, Viper's gone. What?
Yeah, Viper's no longer there.
He sat back in Spicy Burger, like flaming hot burgers. Like, damn, that's a tasty burger.
So hot. It's like I'm flaming. And other catchphrases. You follow the trail through the smoke, and eventually it takes quite a while to walk towards the structure. It becomes more apparent as you go, and the very slight blue shimmer in the sky lights it up a bit, so you can start seeing more like defined details on it. It is a rather plain, I think there's probably like one floor of structure with a wide staircase, rather like steps leading up, and on this dais on top of the first floor you have columns and a roof on top. However, it is quite open indeed, and there are several sort of, I guess from the columns there would be extending wings of shelves of a kind, a very very intricate device holding several of these urns. So you can see where you presumably need to place the urn. It's in one of these empty slots on one of these many extending wings of the temple. The temple itself is not too big an affair. However, you can see quite a lot of these urns, and as you start seeing these details about the temple, you also notice for the first time as you pass through the smoke, on the side in the thick smoke, you can start to see bodies, and they don't look like night speaker bodies. You can see there's a blatantly a native from the planet, from perhaps the day side, one of the scavengers, sort of in a similar garb, mummified in the smoke by the path. And you can see other bodies there as well.
Tomb robbers, I'm guessing.
Perhaps. And I'm gonna carry on walking forward with the intent to put the urn, again with great reverence, on one of these spaces.
Yep. So you reach the temple in the darkness, and you slot it into one of these. It's an elaborate affair of metallic and stonework, sort of encasement where you put it in, it slots in. There's a small whirring sound, WHRI, whirring sound as you do that.
Okay.
When the urn slots in. However, behind you, you can hear movement, and as you're satisfied that the urn is in place now, it's fine. It seems to be where it's supposed to be. As far as you can tell, you turn to look back from the top of the temple steps, and some of these bodies from the mists are rising up, and there's a light blue flare in their eyes. They're wobbling about they're clearly dead from when you pass them in the mist path, rather the smoke path, and yeah, there seems to be quite a number of them in the thicker smoke parts of the landscape. What do you do?
Okay, well, I'm going to start sort of turning round and going to like walk back the way we came.
You do so, and some of the first bodies rising up from the thicker smoke snarl at you in anger, and one of them tosses what seems to you like the broken half of an urn. So it tosses this piece of an urn at you, and what do you do? They seem to be intent to block your passage back.
Okay, I'm going to.
Did we do the the ritual properly? Was there not some magic words to be said here or something?
There was not.
No.
There was not. You were supposed to bring it to the temple, and you did.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my my kinetics to basically catch the shard of urn, and then with equal reverence to that which I held the original urn, I'm just going to gently put it down at my feet.
Yep. So you catch it, no problem. Do you use a gambit for that?
No, I'll just take the stress.
All right. So you catch the urn piece, you put it down. The corpse seems to be drawing some kind of an antique blaster, and the others brandish various implements of violence as well. Pieces of scavenged starship metal from the wastelands beaten into swords and whatnot.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Viper and Mashishi sort of like directly behind me, and then I'm just going to say, get ready to move very quickly when I give the signal. And my basic plan is I'm going to burn through the gambits we've got using my kinetics just to like throw these corpses out of the way. Yeah, exactly. And then as they're sort of like falling to the ground, we're just going to bolt through the middle back the way we came. So, and we'll just burn through the path that's been made.
Right. Okay. You definitely have enough gambits for that kind of thing. So, do you use all of them?
If it's necessary, yeah.
Yeah. I would. There's quite a lot of these folks. So if we say you use the 4 gambits, you can just shockwave all these corpses back into the thick smoke.
Yeah. If the alternative to that is us dying in this temple, yeah, I'll use all the gambits, and we'll just run through the middle.
Yeah, it's if you want to, you can deal with this with the gambits. The other option is you deal with the horde of these creatures swarming you all the way back to.
No, I'm just going to gambit it, and we'll run through the middle. Yep. It seems appropriate given that we're supposed to be like on this way journey. These are obviously people who were like unworthy, and now we are worthy, so we're using the way to basically be like step back. We've done our business. It's not our fault you failed. That you chose poorly.
Yeah, so there's a couple of stray shots in the thicker smoke. It's like this way and that, because you're blasting these desiccated corpses of pilgrims, of tomb robbers, who knows, that are intent on assaulting you. And with Mushishi and Viper, I think it's fair to say that Zenith is fairly brimming with the way now. So there's this like very strong, painful in the ears bass note in the air that just is constantly with you, starting from the moment you leave the temple, as Zenith just seems to be slamming these corpses away with the way, and it's quite the thing to behold, really. And well, Zenith makes the way for you. Hey.
Run behind as instructed.
Yeah, so you run. There's a couple more, like someone's throwing stones from the thicker smoke your way. There's some more pieces of urns being gassed. Doesn't really do much to impede your progress.
We've lost Matthew.
Well, Matthew has decided to finally skulk his way off. into the distance. And he's also muted.
I was just about to suggest that we all tick 2 of our load to have that armour on you were talking about. If there's like stones and stuff being thrown at us.
Yeah. All right. So Matthew's back. There's stones bouncing off of whatever pieces of equipment you might have brought with you, and you make it back to where you think you were. The smoke gets thicker, and you think you can see spots on the ground where you used to sit and meditate. And Zenith, you intuit that it's probably a two-way thing.
Yeah, so I'll instruct them all to sit down and say that we have to meditate to get back, and then I'll take them through the whole like procedure we did previously, the breathing in and out, etc.
Mm-hmm. And there's do you follow Mushishi Viper? Do you follow the trans route back?
We don't have many other options, really. It's that or stay here.
Mm. As you settle in for the journey back, I think there's a series of flashing images of you meditating and a desiccated corpse like carving into your face with a sharp stone, and then it's just you meditating and the corpse is not there, and then this flashes back, you're getting eviscerated by someone wielding like a sharp piece of metal, and it flashes back, you're just meditating there, and eventually we fade back into the wasteland of the night side, and the smoke of the incense burners has died. There's no smoke anywhere at all. The incense burners are empty, and the urn is no longer there as you left it into the temple. And you seem to have put Viper in quite the trance. He's
That's fine. Viper's meditating deeply. I'll be like, I just sort of like tap him on the shoulder. I'll be like, I believe we're done here, Viper. You can wait.
Oh,
now.
Great.
Then I think it's time to climb on the old space hogs and.
Yeah. Jump on the hover bikes and scream back towards Ugar, and you're pleased by passing the line where your hover bike lights flicker back on, and off you go to meet up with Ismissa, who, and we didn't talk about this, but it would have been in the briefing thing. Ismissa promised you 6 credits for this. And also the abjuration, which unfortunately I did forget that in the beginning. The way creature aboard your ship. She has promised to get rid of that because it was messing with your systems. It was not unlike a quite ineffective but annoying computer virus. Really, it wasn't dramatic in that way, but it would like cause mischief aboard the ship. And Ismissa has exercised that. Little gremlin of a way creature, as well as promising you 6 credits for the job, which you've successfully completed, and you return, and that is what you get paid. Well done, we did it.
So 2 credits each, people. And how many do we need to spend on the ship? Because I'll spend that out of mine.
It's 1.
I'll spend 1 out of mine then on the ship. Since these guys came with me and put themselves at risk for my sake, it's only right that I shoulder the burden of the ship's maintenance this time. And I'll as I'm sort of paying for that, I'll just say this is a small thanks from myself for all that you've done for me.
That's quite all right.
We go into the payoff. We dealt with payoff and upkeep. Now we're going into the heat portion.
So much heat.
So I guess I'll go with 2 heat because it's standard.
Okay.
Standard exposure, contained. I would have gone with loud and chaotic, but we already dealt with that because it was the exact opposite, but the effect was the same with the silence device in the market and your performance in the bar. Okay, so let's go with that then. And what did your thing say about heat? Was it specific to licensed? Legitimate bounty hunting. Oh, this wasn't bounty.
No.
Okay. Good. So we'll add 2. So halt, the system we're currently in, is 1 heat away from a wanted level as a result of our mystical escapades in there. I'll add 1 job done for the nice speakers. All right. And then please someone roll me 1d. So 1 fortune roll, basically, with 1 die. This is the entanglements bit.
4.
4. 4 is...
Yeah, let's take that. See, will just pop up.
This is cooperation. A faction you have +2 or +3 status with asks you for a favor, quote unquote. Agree to it or lose status with them. If you don't have a +1, you do. All right, so you're getting offered a job. You can refuse, but there's consequences for that. Oh, and that's from the night speakers because that's the only +2 one you have. So the night speakers offer you a job, just to know what I need to prep for next time. Are you intending to take that job?
Yep.
If you don't, they go down to +1. So we're doing another job for the night speakers then, I presume. Yep.
Working on that rep.
Yep. Grinding that rep. All right. So they will give you a job. Now, downtime. You have 2 actions each. And as we know, you can see the actions here in this handout.
Okay. Okay, so I definitely think we should probably do some laying low in the halt system. Get that heat down.
Do we all have to do that, or just one of us?
If we all do it, it'll go down a lot more.
Yeah, and I will highlight the fact that the lay low action works for systems you are not in. So if you lay low in halt, you can reduce your heat in other systems, but not halt.
All right, so we lay low somewhere that's not halt. So I would suggest, obviously we don't have to do this, it's just a suggestion. I would suggest we all do like 1 lay low and then we all have 1 other action to do whatever.
Sure.
All right. Where do you go to lay low?
How about... How about the IOTA system?
Yeah. In the IOTA system, we have planets Amarath, Indri, and Lithios. Of these, you've been on Amarath. That's where the Mendicants are. And there's a bunch of shipyards there. Yeah. All right. So you're in the IOTA system, and you're laying low. Now, what are you doing as per the downtime action? What are you doing to get the hegemony off your back? So you state how you do it, and then you roll.
Okay, so what do you think of this, guys? We're like bounty hunters. Maybe we could give, like, whoever the law is, like, a hand in the area.
Do some legitimate, actual license work.
Yeah,
Heavy
but
blast
you
is
know,
out.
do a bit of like gratis sort of like law enforcement help.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, and then feel free to pick an action that you use in pursuit of this law enforcement action, and you can roll that.
Okay.
Well, I think I'm going to say, damn it, I'm a doctor, not a policeman.
I think I'll probably use my scrap, to represent like bringing in people who need to be like bought in.
Yep. Cracking
I'm going to
heads.
use my skulk to case joints.
On what sort of position does this have?
Okay, Pink Panther. I think it's risky and standard for everyone. Rather the effect doesn't matter because it's included in the action. So
We all roll this as well. Yeah.
It's a 5 for me.
Okay, where's this?
Six for Hannah.
Okay.
Was it risky? Was it just to confirm?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I am not one with the night.
So it's so that's 1 for Viper, 2 for Zenith, and then 3 for Mushishi. So you're down to 1 heat in the halt system. So that was good. And then 1 more action each.
Okay. Let's have a quick look. Do you know what? It's been a long couple of days, Viper. Say me and you go and do a bit of gambling. What do you reckon? Just me and you. We've done all this mystical stuff for the last few days. Let's tinkle the ivories with Lady Luck for a little while.
Are you suggesting we indulge in a bit of cards?
Yeah, I'm certainly intending to indulge my voice. So I need to get that stress down.
Yeah, funerals are stressful.
Okay, so roll dice equal to your lowest attribute. Okay.
So that would be insight, prowess, or resolve.
So it's insight for me.
Alright, let's do it.
I have overindulged.
How about Viper?
I think I'm alright,
How much do you have?
With a fat 6 roll.
You cut out Viper.
I have exactly 3 stress.
So you're good. However, Zenith, pick one. Rash action. You reduce your stash by 4 or take 2 debt. Big talk. You brag about your exploits. Take +2 heat. Or lost. Play a different character until this one returns from their bender.
Okay. Do you know what? I'm just going to lose 4 out of my stash.
Right.
Done.
Okay. So you did not go home. You indeed went big.
Yeah.
It didn't pay out in the casino. Well, it did. You got rid of your stress, so that is very good. All right. And Mushishi? While these two are losing all of their money in the space.
I think I'm going to be training in the ship's gym.
Right. All right. 2 experience to your prowess. And we can move on to XP. So
XP.
yay! At the bottom of your character sheets, you have the mark XP portion. For John as well, XP time.
Yeah.
So yeah, fill in.
I don't think I rolled any desperate actions this session, actually.
Okay, I only did one.
Yeah.
Okay, so mark 1 XP in your playbook or 2 XP. Oh, or an attribute. Okay, well my playbook's full, so it's going to be my attributes. Address a tough challenge or wisdom all the way. Yeah.
Address a tough challenge. Does us having to get away from that temple count as a tough challenge? Or is it only for Zenith because he did the whole shockwave?
If you feel like it was, then yeah.
I feel like we were about to die.
Yeah, it wasn't good, honestly. And it might have been the third trauma for Zenith if he had done it with stress instead of the 4 gambits.
Oh.
Zenith doesn't so much burn it from both ends as he just takes a plasma torch to it in the middle.
Okay.
You know, oh, go on, love.
I was going to say I'm sorted for mine and my playbook's full, so I'm just going to take another advance.
I would like to highlight now that you're there that you can also have veteran advances and that they aren't marked on your sheet, but each character can take 2 veteran advances as their special abilities, and what that means is you can select a special ability from another character sheet if you want to.
Let me just have a quick look in my book, see if there's anything that appeals.
Of course, you have some tasty way powers there as well.
That's right. I was going to say, there's going to have to be some tasty stuff on another character sheet for me to take it instead of another way power.
Right, well, I think I'm probably getting 3 XP here, because I've expressed beliefs and drives a few times, and I've done tough challenge with insight or compassion. I don't think I've struggled with my vice, and I don't have any traumas.
No.
But that does fill up my playbook.
Yay!
Let's have one more look at this. Scroll, damn you! List of character abilities.
Also, Zenith, did you mark XP for struggling with your vice?
Yeah.
Yep.
I think I'm just going to stick with the way powers. Okay. What should I go for? It's got to be the Psy Blade, really, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you can replace your thing because you dismantled your lightsaber.
Yep.
Plasma blade.
Yep.
Now you can make anything plasma blade. You're one with your sword.
Well, yeah, the sort of how I'll say it is, I sacrifice that material thing, and I've become enlightened enough so that like, the way flows through me to make whatever I'm wielding a version of that. I no longer need the sort of mechanical contrivance to do it.
Yep.
So I'm taking the power that lets me use the doctor skill to actually affect how much harm people are taking during combat and stuff.
Yep.
Because at the
Sounds
minute,
good.
that's just a plop thing. And Matthew's gone again.
Skulked off.
He is really going hard with the skulking. He's going method with skulking. Yeah. So if we're good to go, we can put some XP down on the crew sheet as well.
Mm-hmm.
The Cerberus.
Yeah, I've got the ship sheet up.
Nah, that was the wrong button, Hannah.
Okay. Execute a
That's the
successful
wrong
extraction or
button.
capture a bounty. Not really.
Mm-hmm.
Contend with challenges above your current situation. Yes, a number of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bossed your crew's rep. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. I think probably 2 for that because you. Yeah.
Express the goals drives in a comp. Yeah, I think we've definitely done that.
Mhm.
So the playbook is full.
Yay. So as we know, we can now select one of the what are they called? Special abilities. Yeah. Which I think the crew also has the option of selecting something from a different crew if we want to. So we can select Cerberus special abilities from a different crew, or we can mark 2 boxes on any of the unmarked boxes on our Cerberus sheet for gear and equipment aboard the ship.
Would you reckon, Mashishi?
For the moment, I think probably take one more off the Cerberus sheet.
Well, it's either that or we take equipment.
Yeah, equipment would be good as well.
So for the special abilities that we don't have from Cerberus are On the Trail, which is we get extra downtime actions to work on long-term projects or acquire assets to track bounties. Light Touch, you gain potency when trailing a target or when gathering information at a target's previous location. So basically detective work becomes easier and more effective. Loaded for Bear, your crew can carry +1 load. They have distinctive and high quality armor. When you wear armor, it counts as heavy armor 2 uses. So if you have the fucking Mandalorian armor, that's that. And then play both sides. When you release a bounty target, make them a crew contact. And then finally, we have Deadly. Each crew member can add +1, add 1 action rating to command, scrap, or skulk to a max of 3. So those are the special abilities of the Cerberus. Or then we have just a slew of different kinds of crew or rather ship modules and upgrades and gear.
We could always, if we can take. Did you say we could take stuff from other ships?
Yeah, I do believe, I will check that now, but I believe there's a veteran advance for them. Yep. Yeah, twice you can select a different ability from different crew.
So if that's the case, I might suggest we take Way Blessed from the Fire Drake, which gives us +1 gambit at the start of every job.
Yeah, fair play. That does seem quite fitting for the mission we've just done.
Where's that?
It's on the it's on the Fire Drake, page 139.
I'm not seeing on the sheet. I'll dig in. What did you say the thing was on?
It's
the page
it's on the Fire Drake 139.
139. Okay. Let's see. Oh, there. Yeah. Okay. So that's that is in fact an upgrade and not a special ability.
Right. Okay.
That's why I was getting all turned around. So.
Fair enough.
Next page is where the fire drake special ability.
I see. Yep. Should we go the ones on the Star Dancer? Well, this is really weird. On the Star Dancer, there's a special ability called Home Cooking.
Yeah, I was just reading that. And I was like, that is great.
Yeah.
That is kind of great. So home cooking says your whole crew gains home cooking as a vice. After a job, you may spend 1 cred and a downtime activity to cook for everyone, allowing the whole crew present to make a vice roll. So basically, you allow for everyone to do it.
Yeah.
And then with 1 action only, allowing the whole crew present to make a vice roll. If anyone overindulges, a fight erupts and everyone gains 1 stress after the vice roll. Requires the galley module. Yeah, so you can have a communal feast. That is interesting.
So am I right? Assuming we're not taking anything from anyone else, am I right? We can either take a special ability or extra gear.
Yeah, if you want to, you can take 1 special ability from your sheet or mark 2 boxes of stuff on your sheet.
Okay.
And that goes for anything. The upgrades, there's the modules. If you want shields, if you want engines, you want stun guns, you want the galley, you want an alien pet.
Okay.
Or you want a different training ability, because rather a training facility, because you can get more of those as well. Like if you want to chuck XP points with downtime actions into different places.
See, I'll be tempted to just dump both points in and take shields.
Yeah, then you would have shields on your ship, which you currently don't really have.
I mean, I know we've not done a lot of space combat at the minute, but...
Yeah, and that's something that, because as we discussed previously, maybe like we'll do a bit for each character. This was kind of Zenith kind of thing with the way focus, and then if we do a sort of like Viper episode, then probably space fights, because that's
all right. I'll stick, assuming no one objects, I'll stick both points into shields, and then hopefully when we do like the Viper bit, he's got a bit more to like play with.
Matthew's asking if we have closed the Zoom call. I'm asking him if he cannot get in for some reason.
It's definitely not been closed.
Yeah.
I've suggested, Hannah, that we stick both the points into getting shields for the ship.
Okay.
Because then if we get into any space combat, we're not just going to like die instantly when we get hit, hopefully.
Sounds like it might be a good plan.
Okay. Apparently Matthew cannot get in. I'm just gonna ask him if he's cool with us buying shields, and then that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it for the end of the game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep. So hopefully he'll answer, and with that we are done.
Sweet. I shall stop the recording. Thank you very much for running it. Yeah, and I very much enjoyed it again.
Thanks. Yep.
Yeah, quality games. Thank you.
Yay.